We were sitting in class. Everything was normal, and then my creative writing teacher, he came in and he said, "You know there's a lockdown going on right now, right?" My heart started racing. I was terrified. I started thinking about escape plans or what I would do if somebody started trying to, shoot through the door, would I, if I would block it or if I would, just try to get people out of the way. It really made me realize that nowhere is safe.
On a daily basis, I just wake up, go to school, head to my regular classes. Depending on the day, I might go into work.
I moved into the United States my freshman year of high school. For me personally, I really enjoyed high school. It was a party, to say the least.
Well, my typical high school life, I just have my normal group of friends that I hang out with. Some of them I met this year, some of them are from my childhood.
I travel throughout the high school with a very small group of kids, and it's the same group of kids in basically every single one of my classes.
So I get up probably about 6, 5:45, try to do some homework in like stretches before, get to school by probably 7:44 on a good day.
Now, a story of survival that turned into a struggle.
A Millard South senior who found himself just feet from a gunman inside his school.
3 months ago, a gunman armed with an AR-15 rifle opened fire inside the freshman building at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
I'd say that gun violence has definitely influenced my high school experience in a negative way, just in the fact that it's definitely caused a lot more paranoia just in day-to-day life.
Emotionally, it's a little bit scarring. The fact that nowadays we have to worry, it's constantly on the back of our mind that someone might come in and have malicious intent and take it out on the rest of us.
Our daily routine is very much changed from what it used to be, because now it's like if you go off campus for lunch, you have to make sure that you go in the main doors because all the other doors are going to be locked. There's little inconveniences that remind you of the big issue.
The last mass shooting in schools that was really publicly advertised was Sandy Hook, and that was when I was in elementary school, when I didn't have to really process it.
It sort of built two clashing emotional reactions between those who sort of compromise and just settle gun violence in schools is just part of reality, and then the others who are just very emotionally outspoken and terrified about it.
So the first thing that I can recall after hearing about Parkland was having my younger sister text me because she was concerned about our younger cousins who live in Florida, and she wasn't sure if they were okay, and she was just really terrified about what was happening. She didn't know what was going on, and that just made me really sad, seeing my 11-year-old sister at the time have to go through and think about gun violence in that way and worry about if her family was okay. After that, I remember just sitting in front of the TV all day and just watching every single news report, every single thing that I saw come on TV about it, because I wanted to know what happened, why it happened, who was involved, and it just was terrifying to me that something like this could still happen. In Parkland, it felt like I was grieving right along with everyone else.
I think I cried almost every day for a week at least, because I would just start thinking about it, and I would think about if I had known somebody there, or it could have been my school, that kind of stuff.
It was 2 or 3 weeks out after the Parkland shooting. I remember I was sitting in my AP US history class, and someone just sort of stomped a bag of chips with their foot, and the noise freaked me out. And so I dove under my desk. I really thought that a gun had just been fired. Gun violence was really something that I was thinking about really frequently in classes. Every time I walked in, I was oh, how would I escape, or what could I do to protect my friends if something happened?
It does make me a little bit angry that it is something that we as teenagers have to talk about on a fairly frequent basis when we should be talking about just normal teenager things, and instead we're having to focus on imminent fear and just perpetration by the media.
The action that schools do take is important. I think it helps, but I wouldn't say that it really ever has changed much.
But what they found out next has many angry tonight. It was a drill.
Many of these kids have been going through drills like this since kindergarten, but their parents have never actually seen one.
When we have a lockdown drill, a lot of times they don't tell the students that it's going to happen because they want it to be more serious and they want us to take it more seriously rather than if they were to like prepare you for it.
Well, every room is equipped with like this telephone on it. And the telephone would, beep. And what the teachers would do is that they'd close all the blinds, lock the doors, and then students would hide.
But then usually once it's called, the teacher will be like, I just want you all to know that this was like a scheduled lockdown drill. It's not the real thing.
Students would hide, not under their desk, but the doors would always be a little bit more out into the room, and there'd be like a little cove where if, let's say, someone looks in through the windows, like a teacher forgot to drop the windows, and they'd see the classroom as empty.
And then the administrators, once everybody's accounted for, will like say, okay, like good job guys, and it'll like go from active shooter and it's red, and then it'll switch to like everything's all right and it'll be green.
Whether or not we have, more security, I think most people kind of think the same as me, which would maybe be that's not going to do a lot in the case of an actual school shooting.
I mean, it's really sad, but I can't even name the last school shooting that happened. I think 10 years ago, everyone knew about Columbine and Sandy Hook. And in the last 10 years, we've just sort of forgotten. We've been like, oh man, another one.
It just kind of became numb. We didn't look at the list of names of people who were killed. We didn't look at the pictures. We didn't read every single article about it. We just said, oh, another one.
Kind of shows the possibility of it happening to me as well. And it's definitely surprising to listening to the stories where they say, it was just a local student or someone that someone's been friends with.
We're just sitting in class during our school day and we hear about a school shooting across the country, but it still affects us because we're like, well crap, we're in school right now. What if that could have happened here instead of over there?
What we unfortunately see is that this fear is also allowing for no change in laws. So we're not trying anything new. We're stuck in this loop, like I said. We know that the results won't be the same, and yet we do nothing.
I think that sort of mindset is not just us, but everyone around us, that violence in school, whether it be through bombs or through guns, has become our new normal.
The thing is, they don't experience it, and then they refuse to listen to the people that do.
Government action has really been more of a spotlight on the issue than really making me feel safer. Some politicians project ideas such as putting more guns in schools, arming teachers and staff, or putting more police officers. In some ways that alarms me more than it brings me calm.
And then there might be other things such as the clear backpacks or the bulletproof backpacks or metal detectors in the fronts of schools. And I feel like that kind of places the burden on students.
It's not our responsibility. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be the job of high schoolers to protest gun violence, but it also shouldn't be part of a high schooler's life to have to deal with gun violence.
We're trying to defend our own lives at this point, and it sort of feels like nobody else is doing that for us. So we have to, this is what it's come to. We have to stand up for ourselves. I've tried to imagine, what'll happen 50 years from now. But from what from what I've seen so far in my lifetime, though it's very short, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much of a change. I'd say it would have to be a very, very drastic, even more drastic than 17 people dying.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know how it's going to play out in the future. Like, will this get worse? You know, with the upcoming generations finally having voting rights, it could definitely change.
I might have a more pessimistic view of this than most. I just don't see much of a hope almost. It feels like there's not really, it doesn't matter what we do, but it'll never change.